Commander Kethalos stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the blue and green planet hanging in space before him. Earth looked so peaceful from orbit. With its white clouds swirling gently over vast oceans and green continents, the planet seemed like exactly what Admiral Vextar had described, a garden world inhabited by soft creatures who had never faced real danger. "Begin the landing operation," Kethalos ordered. "Deploy forces to their major population centers. Their primitive weapons should pose no threat to our energy shields and battle armor." The Zephyrian invasion fleet consisted of 50 ships, each carrying 1,000 soldiers equipped with the finest technology their empire could provide. Their energy weapons could cut through steel. Their shields could stop any known projectile, and their battle armor was designed to protect them in any environment. The first landing ships descended toward Earth's major cities. Kethalos watched the tactical displays as his forces approached New York, London, Tokyo, and a dozen other human population centers. Everything was going according to plan until the first ships entered Earth's atmosphere. "Commander," reported his communications officer, "Landing Group Alpha is reporting equipment malfunctions." Kethalos frowned. "What kind of malfunctions?" "Their navigation systems are being disrupted by some kind of electromagnetic interference. The pilots are having trouble maintaining course." On the surface, Sergeant Danny Brooks was watching the alien ships descend through the storm clouds that had rolled in over New York that morning. Lightning flashed across the sky as the strange vessels wobbled and spun, clearly having trouble with the weather. "Well, would you look at that?" Danny said to his squad. "Looks like the aliens don't like thunderstorms." The first Zephyrian landing craft crashed into Central Park, its systems fried by a lightning strike that its shields had been unable to deflect. The second made a hard landing on the street outside the United Nations building. Its hull cracked and smoking. Alien soldiers poured out of the damaged ships, and Danny got his first look at humanity's enemies. They were tall and thin, with pale skin that seemed almost translucent. Their battle armor was sleek and elegant, but as they tried to move through the rain, Danny noticed they were struggling. "Johnson," Danny called to his radio operator, "are you seeing this? These guys can barely walk." The Zephyrian soldiers were indeed having trouble. Their armor, designed for their homeworld's low gravity, made them clumsy and slow in Earth's heavier gravitational field. Worse, the rain was interfering with their energy shields, causing them to flicker and fail. One of the aliens raised its weapon and fired at Danny's position. The energy beam sizzled through the air but went wide as the alien struggled to aim while fighting to stay upright in the mud. Danny returned fire with his assault rifle. The bullets punched through the failing energy shield and struck the alien's armor. To Danny's surprise, the alien went down immediately, apparently killed by impacts that would have only wounded a human soldier. "These guys are made of glass," Danny reported over his radio. "Their armor can't handle Earth gravity and their shields don't work in the rain." Similar scenes were playing out across the globe. In London, Zephyrian forces found themselves unable to cope with fog so thick they couldn't see 10 feet in front of them. In Tokyo, an earthquake that barely registered on human instruments sent the alien soldiers into panic as their rigid technology failed to adapt to the ground movement. Dr. Amy Phillips was in the CDC lab in Atlanta when the first reports of alien prisoners came in. The humans had managed to capture several wounded Zephyrian soldiers, and Amy was called in to examine them for biological threats. What she found amazed her. The aliens were incredibly fragile compared to humans. Their bones were hollow like bird bones, designed for low-gravity environments. Their muscles were underdeveloped by human standards. Most importantly, their immune systems were practically non-existent. Dr. Phillips called her assistant. "You need to see this. The alien prisoner in Isolation Room 3 is showing severe symptoms of infection." Amy rushed to the observation window and looked at the captured Zephyrian soldier. The alien was clearly dying, its pale skin covered in rashes and its breathing labored. "What's causing it?" Amy asked. "That's the incredible part, Doctor. We've run every test we can think of. The alien is being killed by common bacteria that exist naturally on human skin. Germs that we live with every day are lethal to these creatures." Amy stared at the dying alien and realized the full scope of what she was seeing. "Get me a direct line to military command immediately. I need to speak with someone in biological warfare." Meanwhile, aboard his flagship, Commander Kethalos was receiving increasingly desperate reports from his ground forces. Half of his soldiers were dead or dying from what appeared to be biological contamination. The other half were trapped in human cities, unable to advance due to equipment failures caused by Earth's violent weather patterns. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, The humans are counterattacking. Our forces in New York report that enemy soldiers are advancing despite taking direct hits from our energy weapons. Kethlos studied the battle reports in disbelief. Human soldiers were surviving wounds that should have killed them instantly. They were fighting effectively in conditions that had disabled most of his technology. Worst of all, they seemed to be getting stronger as the battle continued. How is this possible? Kethlos demanded. Intelligence reported that these creatures evolved on a peaceful garden world. Sir, I'm beginning to think our intelligence was wrong. These humans appear to be adapted for an extremely hostile environment. Look at these biological readings. The display showed human soldiers in combat. Their heart rates were elevated but stable. Their bodies were efficiently processing oxygen even under extreme stress. Most amazingly, they were healing from wounds at a rate that seemed impossible to Zephyrian science. Back on the ground, Sergeant Danny Brooks was leading his squad through the wreckage of alien landing craft. The Zephyrian soldiers who weren't already dead from bacterial infection were easy targets. They moved slowly in Earth's gravity, their weapons misfired in the humidity, and they panicked when faced with the unpredictable tactics that humans considered normal combat behavior. Brooks, crackled his radio. This is command. We're getting reports from around the globe. The alien invasion is failing. Repeat, the invasion is failing. Their technology can't handle Earth conditions, and their soldiers are dying from exposure to our environment. Danny looked at the latest group of alien prisoners his squad had captured. They were huddled together, clearly terrified and rapidly weakening from bacterial infections. Command, this is Brooks. I don't think these aliens understand what they got themselves into. They're not equipped to fight on a world like Earth. Dr. Amy Phillips was now working directly with military planners to develop what she was calling environmental warfare tactics. Gentlemen, she addressed the Joint Chiefs, we don't need to develop new weapons to fight these aliens. We just need to expose them to Earth. Explain, Doctor. Their soldiers die within hours of exposure to our atmosphere due to bacterial infection. Their technology fails in normal Earth weather. Their physical capabilities are insufficient for our gravity. In essence, simply being on Earth is killing them faster than we could with conventional weapons. The reports continued to pour in from around the world. Zephyrian forces in the Amazon were being decimated by insects carrying diseases that were harmless to humans, but fatal to aliens. Forces in Alaska were freezing to death in temperatures that human soldiers considered mildly uncomfortable. Forces in desert regions were suffering heat stroke in weather that wasn't even considered hot by human standards. Commander Kethlos realized that his invasion was not just failing, it was becoming a massacre of his own forces. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were thriving in conditions that were killing his soldiers. Retreat, he ordered. Pull all ground forces back to the ships immediately. But even retreating proved difficult. Many of his soldiers were too weak from bacterial infections to reach the extraction points. Others were trapped by human forces who seemed to appear from nowhere and disappear just as quickly. As the surviving Zephyrian forces limped back to their ships, Commander Kethlos sent an emergency transmission to Admiral Vextar. Sir, we have grossly underestimated these humans. This is not a garden world. This is a death world, and its inhabitants are monsters. Admiral Vextar received Commander Kethlos's transmission with disbelief and rage. The idea that his superior forces could be defeated by primitive creatures from a garden world was impossible to accept. He immediately ordered the deployment of his reserve fleets and his most advanced technology. The commander has clearly been affected by some kind of human psychological warfare, Vextar declared to his staff. These soft creatures cannot possibly defeat our empire's finest soldiers and equipment. He dispatched 3 more invasion fleets to Earth, each equipped with different specialized technology. The first was an aquatic assault force designed to attack from Earth's oceans. The second was an orbital bombardment fleet meant to destroy human cities from space. The third was an elite unit equipped with adaptive combat suits that could supposedly handle any environment. Lieutenant Colonel Pete Johnson was monitoring the new alien deployments from the command, centered deep beneath the Pentagon. As Earth's leading expert on alien technology, he had been studying the captured Zephyrian equipment and making disturbing discoveries. General Adams, he reported to his commanding officer, I figured out why the alien technology keeps failing on Earth. General Patricia Adams looked up from the tactical display showing 3 new alien fleets approaching Earth. Tell me, Colonel, Their computer systems are designed for perfect predictability, ma'am. Every piece of alien technology we've captured uses artificial intelligence that expects stable, controlled conditions. When these systems encounter Earth's chaos, they literally can't process what's happening. Pete pulled up a holographic display showing the inner workings of a captured alien weapon. Look at this energy rifle. Its targeting computer is more advanced than anything we have, but it's programmed to account for specific atmospheric conditions, exact gravity measurements, and predictable environmental factors. When it encounters a thunderstorm, an earthquake, or even just wind that changes direction unexpectedly, the system crashes. What about their ships? Same problem, but worse. Their navigation systems can't handle Earth's magnetic field fluctuations. Their life support systems fail when exposed to our bacterial environment. Their weapons can't compensate for atmospheric interference. General, these aliens have never encountered true chaos, and their technology reflects that weakness. Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Rodriguez was leading a marine biology team in studying the alien aquatic forces that had just entered Earth's oceans. She was aboard the research vessel Deep Explorer in the Pacific when sonar detected the approaching underwater alien craft. Dr. Rodriguez called her assistant. "You need to see this. The alien ships are descending toward the Mariana Trench." Helen smiled grimly. "They're going to encounter some of Earth's more interesting residents." The Zephyrian Aquatic Assault Force had been designed to attack human coastal cities from underwater. Their sleek submarines were marvels of engineering, equipped with pressure shields and energy weapons designed for aquatic combat. What they weren't designed for was the reality of Earth's deep ocean environment. The first alien submarine encountered a school of giant squids at a depth of 2,000 meters. The creatures, each weighing several tons and armed with tentacles lined with razor-sharp hooks, attacked the unfamiliar vessels with predatory efficiency. "Contact lost with submarine units 7 through 12, reported the Zephyrian Aquatic Commander. "Cause unknown." The cause became clear when the aliens' external cameras captured footage of their submarines being torn apart by creatures that shouldn't have been able to exist according to Zephyrian science. Giant Pacific octopi wrapped around the alien craft with strength that crushed their hulls. Deep-sea sharks evolved to hunt in the crushing darkness of the abyss, attacked with speed and ferocity that overwhelmed the aliens' defensive systems. Helen Rodriguez was monitoring the alien fleet's descent when her instruments detected something massive moving up from the deep ocean trenches. "What are you reading on sonar?" she asked her operator. "Ma'am, I'm showing multiple contacts rising from the trench. They're huge, but they're not submarines. They're biological." Helen realized what was happening. The aliens have stirred up the deep-sea predators. Those creatures down there have been surviving in conditions that would crush alien submarines like tin cans. The alien aquatic force found themselves fighting an enemy they had never imagined. Earth's own ocean predators, creatures that lived in crushing depths, survived in near-freezing water and hunted in complete darkness. The Zephyrian technology, designed for the gentle seas of their homeworlds, was no match for predators evolved in Earth's violent oceans. Above the water, the orbital bombardment fleet was having its own problems. Staff Sergeant Carlos Martinez was leading a special forces team tasked with boarding alien ships and gathering intelligence. What he discovered changed the entire nature of the war. Carlos and his team had been launched into orbit aboard captured alien shuttles, using the enemy's own technology against them. When they breached the hull of a Zephyrian command ship, Carlos expected to face advanced security systems and well-armed defenders. Instead, he found corridors filled with sterile, filtered air and aliens who panicked at the sight of humans moving freely in zero gravity. "This is Martinez," he reported over his radio. "These aliens can't handle microgravity. They're using artificial gravity generators just to move around their own ships." Carlos watched as Zephyrian crew members struggled with emergency procedures when their artificial gravity failed. The aliens floated helplessly while the human soldiers moved through zero gravity with the skill of natural predators. "Martinez, this is command. What's the status of their defensive systems?" "Sir, their defenses are designed to repel energy weapons and projectiles, but they never considered the possibility of boarders who could function in environments that disable their crew. We're basically ghosts to them." The human boarding teams spread through the alien fleet like a plague. They moved through areas of the ships that the aliens couldn't even access without life support equipment. They sabotaged systems from inside areas that Zephyrian engineering had considered impossible to reach. Dr. Kevin White was working with captured alien biological samples when he made a discovery that would change the war completely. The aliens had no natural defenses against Earth's microbial life, but more importantly, they had no concept of biological warfare. General Adams, Kevin reported excitedly, "I've found their weakness. The aliens are not just vulnerable to our bacteria, they're vulnerable to everything biological that we take for granted." Explain, Doctor. Pollen from common flowers causes fatal allergic reactions. Mold spores shut down their respiratory systems. Even dust from Earth soil contains organic compounds that are toxic to their biology. General, we don't need to fight these aliens with weapons. We just need to expose them to Earth's natural environment. Kevin's discovery led to the development of what military planners called environmental weapons. Canisters filled with ordinary Earth soil, air from forests, and water from natural sources became devastating weapons against alien forces. Commander Lisa Taylor was leading the first human counterattack using these environmental weapons when she realized the full scope of humanity's advantage. Her fighter squadron was engaging Zephyrian interceptors in the upper atmosphere when the alien pilots began experiencing system failures. "Taylor to all units," she broadcast. "The aliens can't handle atmospheric flight. Their ships are designed for vacuum operations only." Lisa watched as Zephyrian fighters struggled with air turbulence that her pilots navigated easily. The alien craft were marvels of technology in the sterile environment of space, but they became clumsy and vulnerable when forced to operate in Earth's chaotic atmosphere. "All units, this is Taylor. We're not fighting advanced aliens. We're fighting creatures who evolved in a laboratory. They have no idea how to handle the real world." The tide of battle was turning rapidly. Zephyrian forces found themselves fighting not just human soldiers but the entire Earth ecosystem. Every breath of air, every drop of water, and every piece of dust became a potential weapon against them. Admiral Vextar, monitoring the destruction of his 3 fleets, finally began to understand the terrible mistake he had made. These humans weren't soft creatures from a garden world. They were apex predators from a planet that had been trying to kill them since the day they evolved. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "we're receiving surrender requests from the surviving units of all 3 fleets. The humans aren't just defeating us, they're hunting us." Vexitar stared at the tactical display showing the remnants of his once mighty invasion force. In less than a week, humans had destroyed 4 separate fleets using nothing more than their natural environment and their ability to thrive in conditions that killed his soldiers. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Vextar felt true fear. He wasn't fighting a primitive species that had gotten lucky. He was fighting monsters who had been forged by the most violent planet in known space, and they were coming for him. General Patricia Adams stood in the war room beneath the Pentagon, studying the holographic display that showed the Zephyrian Empire's remaining forces retreating to the edge of the solar system. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity was not playing defense. "Ladies and gentlemen," she addressed the assembled military leaders, "the enemy has shown us their weakness. Now we're going to exploit it." Captain Ryan O'Connor was selected to lead the first human assault on an alien command ship. His team consisted of 12 Special Forces soldiers, each equipped with standard Earth combat gear, and something the aliens had never encountered: the ability to function in environments that would kill most galactic species. Ryan's team approached the Zephyrian flagship in a captured alien shuttle, using the enemy's own identification codes to get past their outer defenses. As they docked with the massive vessel, Ryan reviewed what intelligence had learned about alien ship design. "Remember," he told his team, "these ships are built for creatures who never faced real danger. Their security systems are designed to stop energy weapons and conventional attacks, not boarders who can survive in areas the crew can't even enter." The human soldiers cut through the shuttle's airlock and immediately found themselves in a sterile, perfectly climate-controlled environment. The artificial gravity was set to 1/3 Earth normal, making the humans feel incredibly strong and agile. "O'Connor to command," Ryan reported. "We're inside. The environment here is like a luxury resort compared to Earth conditions." Ryan's team moved through the ship's corridors, and it quickly became clear that the aliens had never planned for this type of invasion. There were no defensive positions designed to stop boarders, no security checkpoints in critical areas, and no backup systems that could function if the main life support failed. "Thompson," Ryan called to his demolitions expert, Can you disable their environmental controls? Already on it, Captain. These systems are incredibly advanced but also incredibly fragile. They're not designed to handle any kind of malfunction or damage. When Thompson sabotaged the alien ship's environmental systems, the effect was immediate and devastating. The artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. The air filtration system began pumping in unfiltered atmosphere, and the temperature controls started cycling between extremes. The human soldiers continued their mission without any difficulty, but the alien crew began experiencing system-wide panic. Zephyrian officers who had commanded fleets across the galaxy found themselves unable to function when their perfect environment became even slightly unpredictable. Dr. Kevin White was aboard a human assault ship, coordinating what he called biological warfare operations. He had developed a series of weapons that were devastating to alien forces, but completely harmless to humans. Deploy Atmospheric Contamination Protocol 7, Kevin ordered his team. Canisters filled with Earth air were released into the alien ship's ventilation system. The air contained pollen, dust, bacterial spores, and microscopic particles that were part of every breath humans took on Earth. To the Zephyrian crew, it was like being attacked with concentrated poison. Dr. White reported one of his assistants. We're getting reports from the bridge team. The alien officers are collapsing at their stations. They're having severe allergic reactions to normal Earth atmosphere. Kevin nodded grimly. These creatures evolved in sterile environments. They have no immunity to anything that exists naturally on our planet. Meanwhile, Captain Ryan O'Connor had reached the alien bridge. What he found there horrified him in a way that had nothing to do with advanced technology or superior firepower. The Zephyrian command crew were dying simply from breathing the same air that humans considered normal. This is O'Connor, he reported. I've secured the bridge. The alien commander is requesting surrender terms. Admiral Vextar, struggling to breathe through an emergency filter mask, looked at the human soldier standing casually in an environment that was killing his crew. For the first time, he truly understood what his species had chosen to fight. You are monsters, Vextar gasped through his mask. How do you survive in such conditions? Ryan looked around the bridge, seeing nothing more dangerous than slightly dusty air and mild temperature fluctuations. Admiral, this is a normal day on Earth. If you think this is bad, you should see what we call winter. Commander Lisa Taylor was leading a fighter squadron in attacks on the remaining alien fleet. Her pilots had discovered that human tactics, developed through centuries of warfare on an unpredictable planet, were completely incomprehensible to alien battle computers. Taylor to all units, she broadcast. Execute random evasion pattern Delta. The human fighters began flying in patterns that seemed chaotic and purposeless to the Zephyrian targeting systems. The alien computers, designed to predict logical flight paths and efficient movement, couldn't process the seemingly random behavior of the human pilots. Enemy. Missiles are missing their targets, reported Lieutenant Mike Davis. Their guidance systems can't track our flight patterns. Lisa smiled as she watched alien interceptors, trying to engage her fighters. The Zephyrian pilots flew with mechanical precision, following textbook maneuvers that would have been perfect against any rational enemy. Against humans who had learned to fight in three-dimensional aerial combat above a planet that tried to kill them daily, the aliens were helpless. All units, this is Taylor. The aliens fight like machines. They can't adapt to chaos or unpredictability. Use that against them. Dr. Rachel Williams was coordinating intelligence operations from the captured alien flagship when she made a discovery that explained everything about the enemy they were fighting. General Adams, she reported, over secure channels. I've accessed the alien database. You need to see this. Rachel's analysis of Zephyrian historical records revealed the truth about their empire. Every species in their alliance had evolved on worlds with stable climates, gentle weather, and no dangerous predators. They had achieved interstellar travel not through overcoming challenges, but through the absence of any real obstacles. General, these aliens have never faced extinction. They've never had to fight for survival. They've never even experienced natural selection pressure. Their technology is advanced because they've had thousands of years to develop it in perfect laboratory conditions. What about warfare? How did they conquer 40 star systems? That's the incredible part, ma'am. They didn't conquer anyone. Every species they encountered was just like them, peaceful, advanced, and completely unprepared for any kind of real conflict. The Galactic Stability Council isn't a military alliance. It's a collection of species who have never learned to fight. This revelation changed everything about humanity's strategy. They weren't fighting a warrior race with superior technology. They were fighting the galactic equivalent of laboratory scientists who had never left their sterile environment. Staff. Sergeant Carlos Martinez was leading another boarding operation when he encountered something that would become legendary among human forces. A group of Zephyrian soldiers had barricaded themselves in their ship's armory, armed with the most advanced weapons their technology could produce. Martinez, this is command. What's your status? Sir, I've got about 20 alien soldiers holed up in their weapons storage. They're armed with energy rifles that could probably cut through a tank. Can you handle it? Carlos looked at the barricaded door and smiled. Sir, they're hiding in a room with no backup life support, no emergency exits, and no way to call for help. I'm just going to wait. Carlos sat down outside the armory and began eating his lunch. Within an hour, the aliens inside were suffering from carbon dioxide poisoning. Because their breathing had overwhelmed the room's air recycling capacity, they surrendered without Carlos firing a single shot. Command, this is Martinez. Armory secured. These aliens never learned that you need backup plans when you're in a fight. As reports came in from across the solar system, it became clear that humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had not just defeated a superior technological force. They had done it using nothing more than their natural ability to thrive in hostile conditions. The Zephyrian Empire, which had maintained peace through intimidation for thousands of years, was being systematically destroyed by creatures who considered their advanced technology to be fragile toys. General Adams, reported Colonel Pete Johnson, we're receiving surrender transmissions from the entire alien fleet. They're requesting permission to withdraw from our solar system. Patricia Adams looked at the tactical display showing human forces scattered throughout the alien fleet, each small team of soldiers controlling vessels that had taken thousands of aliens to operate. Colonel, send them a message. Tell them that humanity accepts their surrender, but we want to make something very clear to them and their empire. What's the message, ma'am? Tell them that Earth is not a garden world. Earth is a death world and humans are its children. If they ever threaten us again, we'll show them what real monsters can do. Admiral Vextar sat in his command chair aboard the flagship Eternal Peace, watching the tactical displays that showed his empire's complete defeat. In less than 2 weeks, humanity had destroyed or captured most of his invasion force using tactics and weapons that defied everything he understood about warfare. Sir, reported his communications officer, we're receiving another transmission from the human leadership. Put it through, Vextar said, dreading what he might hear. The voice that came through the speakers belonged to General Patricia Adams, but her tone was different from the previous surrender negotiations. This time she sounded like a predator who had cornered her prey. Admiral Vextar, this is General Adams. We have a new situation to discuss. Our orbital sensors have detected 3 more Zephyrian fleets approaching our solar system. We assume these are reinforcements you called for before you understood what you were fighting. Vextar felt his blood freeze. He had indeed called for reinforcements during the early stages of the invasion, before he realized the true nature of humanity. Those fleets represented the core military strength of the Zephyrian Empire, and they were heading directly into a trap. General Adams, Vextar transmitted, those fleets are not aware of the current situation. Please allow me to contact them and order their withdrawal. I'm afraid that's not acceptable, Admiral. You see, we've been analyzing your technology and your military doctrine. We've learned some very interesting things about your empire. Colonel Steve Parker was coordinating Earth's orbital defenses when the new alien fleets entered the solar system. Unlike the previous invasions, humanity was now prepared and equipped with captured alien technology that had been improved using Earth engineering principles. All stations, this is Parker. The enemy is approaching in standard formation. Their ships are maintaining perfect spacing and following predictable flight paths. Steve smiled as he watched the alien fleets approach. The Zephyrians were flying in formations that would have been perfect for fighting other aliens who followed similar rigid tactical doctrines. Against humans who had learned warfare on a planet where survival meant constant adaptation, the aliens might as well have been flying in straight lines. Weapon stations, prepare to fire. Remember, their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and conventional projectiles. They're not designed to stop kinetic projectiles, accelerated to relativistic speeds using their own technology. The Orbital defense platforms that humanity had constructed using captured alien technology opened fire. The projectiles they launched were simple chunks of metal, but they were accelerated using alien energy systems pushed far beyond their designed limits. Direct hits on multiple targets, reported the tactical officer. Enemy shields are collapsing under kinetic impact. Steve watched as alien ships that could have withstood nuclear weapons were torn apart by simple metal projectiles moving at incredible speeds. The Zephyrian engineers had never considered the possibility that someone would modify their elegant technology into crude, but devastatingly effective weapons. Dr. Rachel Williams was monitoring the battle from the captured alien flagship when she intercepted communications between the approaching Zephyrian fleets. What she heard confirmed her worst fears about the aliens' inability to adapt to changing circumstances. General Adams, Rachel reported, the enemy fleet commanders are following predetermined battle plans. Even though they can see their forces being destroyed, they're not adapting their tactics. Explain, Doctor. Their entire military doctrine is based on fighting enemies who respond logically to superior technology. When faced with opponents who use chaotic tactics and modified alien equipment, their commanders literally don't know how to react. This inflexibility proved fatal for the Zephyrian reinforcements, human fighters, now equipped with hybrid technology that combined alien engineering with Earth durability, tore through enemy formations like sharks through a school of fish. Captain Ryan O'Connor was leading a squadron of modified alien fighters when he encountered the flagship of the Zephyrian relief fleet. The massive vessel was a marvel of engineering, bristling with weapons and protected by energy shields that could stop any known weapon. O'Connor to all units, Ryan broadcast, remember what we learned about their technology. It's designed for perfect conditions. Ryan's fighters began targeting the alien ship's sensor arrays with weapons that shouldn't have worked according to Zephyrian science. The humans had taken alien energy rifles and modified them to fire in sustained bursts rather than precise single shots. The modification reduced accuracy and efficiency, but it also created massive electromagnetic interference that disrupted alien sensors. Enemy targeting systems are down, reported Lieutenant Sarah Lopez. They can't track us through the interference. The Zephyrian flagship found itself fighting blind against enemies who were perfectly comfortable operating in chaos and confusion. Human pilots trained to fight in Earth's chaotic atmosphere had no trouble navigating by instinct and experience while the alien crew struggled with sensor failures. Dr. Kevin White had developed what he called the ultimate biological weapon, and he was finally ready to deploy it. Working with captured alien life support technology, he had created dispersal systems for Earth's most common organisms. General Adams, Kevin reported, I'm ready to deploy atmospheric saturation protocol. This will introduce normal Earth atmosphere throughout the enemy fleet. What will that do, Doctor? Ma'am, it will turn their own ships into death traps. Earth's atmosphere contains thousands of microorganisms that are lethal to alien biology. Once their life support systems are contaminated, their ships will become uninhabitable within hours. The biological attack was launched using modified alien technology that the Zephyrians couldn't detect or stop. Canisters of Earth air were dispersed throughout the enemy fleet using their own supply distribution systems. Within hours, alien crews throughout the invasion force were dying from exposure to organisms that humans carried in their lungs every day. The sterile environments that the aliens required for survival became contaminated with the basic components of Earth's biosphere. Admiral Vextar received increasingly desperate reports from his fleet commanders as their crews succumbed to biological contamination that their technology was powerless to stop. Sir, reported his medical officer, we're losing crew on every ship. The humans have weaponized their own atmosphere against us. Vextar stared at the tactical displays showing his empire's finest ships drifting powerless in space, their crews dead or dying from breathing air that humans considered normal. Open a channel to the human commander, he ordered. General Patricia Adams appeared on the main screen, standing in what appeared to be a normal Earth environment. Behind her, Vexitar could see human soldiers moving casually through conditions that would kill his crew in minutes. Admiral, Adams said, I believe you wanted to discuss surrender terms. General Adams, Vextar said formally, the Zephyrian Empire hereby surrenders all military forces in this system and requests permission to withdraw our surviving personnel. Those terms are acceptable, Admiral, But first you're going to listen to what we have to say. Dr. Rachel Williams stepped into view beside General Adams. Admiral, we've studied your empire's history and technology. We know that you've never faced a real military threat before. Every species in your alliance evolved on worlds that would be considered paradise planets by our standards. Your point, Doctor? Our point, Admiral, is that you made a fundamental error in judgment. You assumed that because Earth looks peaceful from space and because humans don't have your level of technology, we must be weak and primitive. General Adams took over the conversation. What you failed to understand, Admiral, is that Earth is not a garden world. Earth is what we call a death world. Everything on our planet, from the weather to the wildlife to the microscopic organisms in our air, has been trying to kill us since we evolved. We are not weak creatures who developed technology in peaceful conditions, Adams continued. We are apex predators who survived on the most violent planet in known space. Our technology may be primitive by your standards, but our ability to adapt, survive, and fight in hostile conditions is something your empire has never encountered. Admiral Vextar listened in growing horror as the human commander described Earth's true nature. Hurricanes that could level cities, earthquakes that could split continents, predators that could kill with single bites, diseases that could wipe out entire populations, and environmental conditions that changed so rapidly that only the most adaptable species could survive. You declared war on a planet that has been at war with its own inhabitants for millions of years, Adams said. You challenged creatures who consider your most advanced technology to be fragile toys. You threatened the children of a death world, Admiral. And death worlds don't raise weaklings. The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Vextar alone with the devastating realization of what his empire had attempted. They had declared war on monsters, and the monsters had won. The surviving Zephyrian forces were allowed to retreat, carrying with them a warning that would spread throughout the galaxy. Dr. Rachel Williams made sure that every alien survivor understood the message they were to deliver. The stars had been quiet for so long that Captain Jake Morrison almost missed the signal when it came through. He was sitting in the command chair of the Starship Endeavour, drinking his third cup of coffee and watching the empty space between Earth and Mars. The ship hummed quietly around him as his crew ran their daily checks on the new, faster-than-light communication array they had just finished testing. Captain, said Lieutenant Amy Phillips from the communications station, I'm getting something strange on the long-range sensors. Jake set down his coffee and walked over to her station. The screen showed a pattern of lights that definitely was not natural. What am I looking at, Phillips? It's a transmission, sir. But it's not coming from any human ship or station. The signal is too organized to be random, but the technology behind it is nothing like ours. Jake felt his stomach tighten. Humanity had been sending signals into space for decades, hoping to find other intelligent life. Now it seemed like other intelligent life had found them first. Can you decode it? Phillips worked at her console for several minutes while the bridge crew gathered around. Finally, the speakers crackled to life with a voice that was clearly not human. The words were in perfect English, but the tone was cold and mechanical. Primitive species of the third planet, you have been detected attempting faster-than-light communication. This is Admiral Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Stability Council. Your recent technological advancement poses a threat to the peace we have maintained for 3,000 years. Jake exchanged glances with his crew. Dr. Lisa Carter, the ship's science officer, was recording everything while her face grew pale. The alien voice continued. We have observed your species for some time. You come from what our scientists classify as a garden world with stable conditions and gentle weather. Your soft bodies and weak constitution indicate you evolved without significant challenges. However, your rapid technological growth suggests dangerous ambition. Garden world? Whispered Dr. Carter. Gentle weather? Have they actually looked at Earth? The transmission went on. The Galactic Stability Council has decided to offer you terms for peaceful surrender. You will immediately cease all space exploration beyond your home planet's atmosphere. You will disable all faster-than-light communication equipment. You will accept monitoring stations in your system to ensure compliance. In return, we will allow your species to continue existing on your homeworld under our protection. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. Protection from what? You have 72 of your planetary rotations to comply, the alien voice said. If you refuse these generous terms, we will be forced to remove the threat you represent to galactic peace. Do not mistake our offer for weakness. The Zephyrian Empire commands 12 species across 40 star systems. Our technology is thousands of years ahead of yours. Your primitive weapons and soft bodies would pose no challenge to our forces. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Dr. Carter was the first to speak. Captain, I need to analyze this transmission immediately. There's something very wrong with their assessment of Earth. Jake nodded. Do it, Phillips. Get me a direct line to Earth Command. They need to know about this right away. Over the next few hours, the Endeavor's communication array worked overtime, sending the alien message back to Earth. The response from Earth Command was swift and clear. Humanity would not surrender. Dr. Carter called Jake to the science lab where she had been studying the alien transmission. Captain, I've been analyzing the signal and cross-referencing it with what the aliens told us about themselves. I think I know why they're so confident about defeating us. Go ahead, Doctor. Carter pulled up a holographic display showing the signal's origin point. The transmission came from a star system about 50 light-years away. I've been studying the spectral data from their sun and the planets in their system. Captain, every world in the Zephyrian Empire appears to be what we would call a paradise planet. Meaning what exactly? Low gravity, stable weather, no extreme temperatures, no dangerous wildlife, no natural disasters. These aliens evolved in environments that would be like the perfect vacation resort to us. Look at this data. The hologram showed a peaceful world with gentle blue skies and calm seas. Their homeworld has gravity about 1/3 of Earth's. The temperature varies by only a few degrees across the entire planet. There are no storms, no earthquakes, no volcanoes. Even their wildlife appears to be entirely herbivorous. Jake studied the data, so they've never faced any real challenges. Exactly. And Captain, there's something else. I've been comparing their biology based on the vocal patterns in their transmission. Their bone density, muscle mass, and cardiovascular systems all suggest they're adapted for extremely gentle environments. What they call a garden world with stable conditions is actually what we would call a death trap. How so? Carter switched the display to show Earth. Look at our planet from their perspective, Captain. We have gravity 3 times stronger than what they're used to. Our weather includes hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, and heat waves that would kill them instantly. We have earthquakes that can level cities, volcanoes that can block out the sun, and tsunamis that can destroy entire coastlines. Jake stared at the display showing Earth's violent weather patterns, and they think we're the soft ones. It gets worse, Captain. Our wildlife includes some of the most efficient predators in the known galaxy. Tigers, sharks, bears, venomous snakes, disease-carrying insects. We share our planet with creatures that could hunt and kill these aliens without even trying. What about us? How do we compare to them physically? Carter smiled grimly. Captain, humans are basically walking nightmares compared to these aliens. We can survive in environments that would kill them in minutes. Our bones are 3 times denser than theirs. Our muscles are adapted for high gravity. Our immune systems fight off diseases that would wipe out their entire species. Jake felt a strange sense of confidence growing. So when they look at us, they see weak creatures from a gentle world. Right. And when we look at them, we should see fragile beings who've never faced a real challenge in their entire evolutionary history. Captain, I don't think they have any idea what they're actually threatening to fight. Jake returned to the bridge with a new understanding of the situation. The aliens saw humans as soft creatures from a garden world, who would surrender quickly when faced with superior technology. They had no idea that humans came from a planet that had been trying to kill them since the day they evolved. Phillips, Jake said, settling into his command chair. Send a message back to Admiral Vextar. What should it say, Captain? Jake smiled coldly. Tell him that humanity respectfully declines his generous offer, and tell him that if he wants to test his theory about our soft bodies and gentle world, he's welcome to come and try. The message was sent, and Jake knew that war was coming, but for the first time since receiving the alien ultimatum, he was looking forward to showing these peaceful aliens what monsters looked like.